All right, this is one last pentascale tutorial video, and this one is how to do cadences at the end of our pentascales. So once everyone learns their pentascales, I really like to add cadences at the end. A cadence is like a way to add a nice ending onto something. It centers us in one key or a tonality. A cadence would sound like this. Or have you ever heard the end of like a symphony where it goes? That is just a bunch of cadences. We call it our tonic dominant cadence. Here's our tonic chord, and here's our dominant chord. Now we're using one very specific type of inversion of the chord where we take the notes and we kind of mix them around. That's really easy for pianists to do. And often if we're playing like, we'll go back and forth between these two chords. That's why it's really valuable to just learn this one inversion, because you can get a lot of mileage out of it. So how do we do it? The tonic chord is just what we've been playing at the end of our pentascales. So when we go, so that's our tonic chord, or our one chord, or our home chord. You might refer to it in all sorts of ways, but tonic chord is the most musically correct term for it. Then to get the dominant chord, you're going to want to play your fourth finger exactly where it is, and your fifth finger exactly where it is, and move your bottom note down a half step. So in the right hand I have 1, 4, 5. You should always make sure to practice these in your left hand too, because realistically you're going to do a lot more of them in your left hand. So in the left hand it's 5, 2, 1 for our dominant chord. 5, 3, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 3, 1. The most common mistake that we make is not moving our bottom finger down by a half step, but you have to do that. Otherwise, you get what's called a suspension chord, which is very pretty, but it's not what we're looking for. All right, it gets a little more complicated when you move to other keys. So, for example, in D major, when I move to my dominant chord and my bottom finger moves down a half step, it has to move down to a black key. So you're going to want to move your hands in. Okay, or if you're starting at black keys, then your bottom finger is going to be moving down to a white key. So you always have to make sure you're tracking what the half step is. This cadence is going to stay exactly the same in minor, which is really cool. So if I play E flat minor, why not? I'm still going to play my fourth finger where it is. I'm still going to play my fifth finger where it is, or 2 and 1 in my left hand, and then the bottom finger is going down a half step. It's the same. So you really just need to memorize the cadences once, and then it's really easy to transfer to your minor pentascales. So once you learn your cadences, you want to practice them like this. Learning these pentascales with the cadences on it really gets you far, especially if you're learning jazz or pop music, or you're sight reading something, or you're accompanying a simple melody. Being able to do this is really helpful because you can use your tonic chord and your dominant chord to accompany lots and lots of stuff. When you start to get really fancy, you can add your 4 chord in there too, your predominant chord. But for right now, just stick with the easy tonic, dominant, tonic chord. I think that should get you pretty far with these. So make sure you practice them. Always remember when you're doing your cadences that you want to go from your tonic chord, which is what you've been practicing at the end of your scales anyway. And then you want to keep your top note and your finger 2 or finger 4, depending on which hand you're playing it in. Finger 2 for the left hand, finger 4 for the right hand, and then move the bottom note down a half step. And then bring it all back to your tonic chord again. So that's it. Have a good time practicing.